Wow. It's hard for me to talk about this because, first of all, I don't know where to begin because it's so many experiences. But I feel like everything has led me up to this moment where I can finally like start to break the egg open in this nest of eggs. When I was in the year 2019, like many, I had an experience that was like a wake up call where the rug was just pulled from underneath me. And in that moment, I questioned, are reptilians real? Are aliens real? Is everything real? Is everything been a lie? And this was because I already knew that I probably had some psychic gifts, that I could see ghosts and energy, but I didn't know where this lay. I'm going to say this, where it would lead me in the grand scheme of things. I believed in ghosts. Like, I watched a lot of ghost shows, but if I had understood back then what would conspire from my childhood upbringing to being completely shook. I don't even know if I'm putting this the right way. Basically, I was given experiences so I could help the collective of people's minds start to break open. It only takes one or two souls to truly shake foundations that have been set in stone, like a freaking volcano erupting, an earthquake. And I didn't know that back then. That in the year 2019, my boyfriend and I would bear witness to the impossible. I had no idea. I was raised extremely Christian, extremely Pentecostal, and I doubted a lot of it, but I was very faith-based. But I had hints of this whole ghost. I loved ghost shows. I loved the supernatural. I loved Star Trek. But no one told me that it could ever be possible, because we weren't supposed to know that. No one is. That the impossible is truly possible. Like, if people knew that, oh crap, the world would be just like, the whole foundation would literally just explode. But that's the point. We were meant to do that through our experiences, through our eyes. It all began just after COVID. We had set up cameras and we were videotaping, I don't know, nothing on the street. And we started intently watching because we didn't really know what else to do. We were bored. And after a bit, we started seeing the same person walk by. And they would just disappear in and out. And we're like, is this their cameras? Like, what's going on? Is the feed? And it got to a point where we were convinced maybe the person was not of this planet. Maybe we were just convinced it was a ghost, actually, that it was just something supernaturally weird going on. And this happened every night at 4:19 a.m. and then it would increase to like 4:23 eventually, as this person would do like rounds around the neighborhood, and their bodies were just disappearing, and we're like, what is happening? And then that led to seeing weird light things on the camera and orbs and all kinds of things. It just built and it built, and that was for a purpose. It was so that we could see a little more each time that we had not seen before. Because if your whole world would be shaken, if we knew our world would be shaken up to the degree that it was, we wouldn't have made it through. I mean, our brains would just like exploded, because from that moment on, our lives would never be the same. it truly would never be the same again. Because the night of him screaming shook all of that. We were sitting in our living room, and I don't know if we were like doing crystal balancing or something. It was, we were just chilling. And the window in our bedroom was open, and all of a sudden, we heard the most painful, terrifying sound two people could ever hear. It was an electronic, unreal sound, like loud. Like, we stared at each other, and as soon as we both like connected on what the F was that, I ran to the window and I shut the window. I was scared for our lives. We both were. We just didn't know what this was. And we did have recordings of it. We might still have one with a friend of ours, but it's almost like as we experience dimensional shifts in our own field, which we were unaware of at the time because we just had gone into book reading and collecting things. So we weren't very versed yet in that realm. But now I can say that it most likely was a slip into another dimension, because this person ended up being our neighbor, which had us mind effed. Like, we just like, and when I mentioned it to him one day, he had this kind of blank response of like, well, you could put that up on YouTube, that's fine. It was so creepy. And it's funny because he's actually a really cool dude. Really nice man. Has a family now, 2 kids. But like, it truly transformed our lives, because after that, we just believed there was more. I mean, we knew there was more, but I just didn't think my mind would ever be able to comprehend aliens walking among us, or dimensions, or other realms. And along that path, 2 or 3 years would create this immense understanding of how real it truly was. We were to be witnesses to this, and it would forever change us. It forever changed me. I mean, because of these experiences, we tattooed our faces. Like, it was unbelievable. So I don't know if I should continue more right now. I feel like that in itself is a good place to start. I mean, after that, it was just orbs and studying cameras and wondering what the heck was going on. And we were doing magic, and we were seeing things in mirrors pop out. And it was building. It was just building. And we were traveling a lot, and going to Airbnbs, and opening ourselves up to the impossible. Like, truly just eyes opening. We were looking at the sky more. We were using our telescopes and all these crazy devices to capture things. And when we were doing that, it was like we became open conduits for experiences to come into our life. And eventually, we were so open that our eyes started changing. My eyes really changed. Like, the actual visual field started to expand, and I could see auras. I could see energy floating in the air. I mean, eventually I was on the deck of this Airbnb, and I saw these 2 beings walk up to me. Like, they were bright blue, but they were in a human form, but they were really tall, and they were in the energy spectrum. So they wouldn't be able to be seen unless you could see them. And they walked up, and I remember just sitting there like, what the? It's terrifying when you start to experience these supernatural experiences, because if you're not open, you'll just think you are mentally insane. Truly, just, there's something not right. Or I'm making it up, or it's in my head, or I'm just very imaginative. And that would eventually lead me to understand that the power of the imagination is the greatest weapon that anybody can ever possess, and the knowledge of that weapon. Wow. Just looking back on it now, I'm just like amazed that I chose to experience these things. You know, when two people get shoved into something like this, when they become open to other possibilities of existence, it's like the universe starts just handing everything out on a dish. Like, here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. You can handle it. You've shown that you can handle it. You're proving yourself. And every passing that we would achieve or like be able to incorporate, it would get bigger. A bigger thing would come towards us. But it was all in this grand succession of just synchronized growth, if that makes sense. It was levels that increased over a long period of time, and I really should. I need to make this a new book. It's hard to. I'm missing so many key points because the growth of our minds is a part of the story. Because every moment, every chapter built upon itself, and I remember when I started seeing these little orbs come out of the tree, and they were originally from the constellations, and I'm like, but those are stars. Like, how are those floating down in the tree? They're taking a little time out, a little vacation. Like, this is stuff that like most people could never handle. But we were witnessing this. We were witnessing the constellations turn into orbs, come down, and rest in the trees. And then the trees would be lit up with orbs. I mean, back then I was like, is it the Nunakai, the Anunnaki? Like, I was convinced that these were beings. Like, this is, or I was losing it. It was just back and forth. My boyfriend and I were constantly like, I just don't know. I just don't know. And to this day, we're like, oh, it's just a star. No, it's not a star. It's a star. Because, I mean, these beings, these orbs would eventually float down in front of our vehicles. We would experience crazy events at the guide stones, and bringing letters out of stones that were somehow there, and just knowing it, like increase in psychic abilities. I mean, the experiences proved that dimensional portals were real. I mean, just now talking about it, I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to tell everybody this story? How is the world going to be able to like understand like the succession of information that was given to us over time? It was just, I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to have experienced every second of this. And I wouldn't be who I am right now. I wouldn't have a tattoo on my face, which is something that I never could have imagined would be the place I tattoo first, as a extremely religious upbringing. That tattoos are evil, they're marking the vessel. But for me, it was a series of downloads that just led me to doing this. It was just so clear. It was so clear that this is not just a tattoo. This is magic. This is intention. This is the marker of a portal jumper. Like, I have experienced portals. I have walked through portals and walked out in a totally different location. Like, because of this, we underwent all kinds of sick, like, secret groups just targeted us. They wanted to know who we were after all these experiences. So I'm going to leave this here for now, because I want to know if anybody else out there has had any crazy wake-up calls, like the being screaming outside their window. What kind of wake-up call did you have to the divine, to the source, to remembering who you are and why you came here? Please let me know what your call to action was to your sacred mission here on planet Earth. Like, what was it? For me and him, this was a coded time bomb. It was, when it happened, we could not go back. It was just shook us. Like, like an explosion going off. It was just like all of the illusions of our past self was just annihilated in that moment. So in another video, I'll tell you another story about what happened, but it's nice to say a little bit about our story. And I hope you enjoyed this short little bit. Feels good to say something finally. I've mentioned it in a couple videos, but I never really talked a lot about it. It was just kind of oh, this happened. I saw an ambulance disappear, and this, and you know, like, but really, everything that happened to us was part of a chain of events that would lead to more chain of events that would trigger certain timelines, and different collective issues would be solved, and different things would be stopped. Like, we were like agents, man. We were like operatives for the divine. Like, we truly were. We are here to break things open. We are here to shift the collective mind, because it was proven to us that we could many, many times. Like, truly powerful. So yeah, tell me what you experienced, if you experienced something similar or different or along the same kind of like supernatural, you know. Sometimes it's just a voice in your head. It's like something's wrong, you know. But I'm curious to know what you think of my little story here. And all right, bye-bye.